Now, we all know leg days suck, but maybe after this video, I can show you guys how to make it suck less, because we're gonna be ranking leg day exercises. We're gonna try to have it be only based on how beneficial they are in terms of growth, but also practicality. I'll consider, how much I enjoy the exercise. Other factors as well will go into it, but my main basis will be, from a bodybuilding standpoint, how good is this exercise? Let's get right into it. Okay, first off, what catches my eye is the bench press. The flat barbell bench press. This is an excellent leg day movement. The leg drive, you activate your quads so much. I do this every leg day. It's gotta be an S tier. All right, seriously though, let's get into it. The squat is gonna be an S tier, right? Spoiler alert. All around is gonna hit probably every part of your lower body. Definitely your abs if you're doing it right. Nothing feels better than hitting a massive squat PR. Especially, if you're going low enough, there's no way you're not gonna be hitting every part of the leg. I mean, it's the squat. How could I not put it in S tier? Next up, we got the hip thrust. Little suspect, right? If you're a guy, a little weird if you're doing this, but I understand it if you're like a bodybuilder. Like the judge's feedback from your last show was gotta work on glutes and hamstrings. That's always their feedback. But other than that, it's a good athletic movement. Like if you're a sprinter, football player, baseball player, glutes are important. Now, if you're just an average Joe, you're looking to get in shape and you're doing hip thrusts, you're a little odd, but still a good exercise. And if you haven't trained glutes in a while and you do the hip thrust, it's gonna get you super sore, which is a good thing. It's gonna get you right, so B tier. Now, I do like the machine hip thrust more. It gets a little uncomfortable with the barbell, even with the pad on there, it gets a little claustrophobic in that area, if you know what I mean. Like when you're working out, you want there to be a little bit of pain, right? No pain, no gain. But not the kind of pain where it feels like Oprah is just. However, for my female clients, this is gonna go in S tier. This is going straight up to S tier. You should be doing this habitually, religiously even. This is a great glute movement. Whether you do it on barbell or machine, you should definitely be doing hip thrust if you're trying to grow that butt, But if you're a dude, there's no reason for you to be growing that butt. All right. If you're a girl, let's go into S tier. If you're a guy, let's go into B tier. Let's average it out. Let's put it in A tier. Next up, let's go to hamstring curl. Now, I want to divide this into two, right? Because there's a seated hamstring curl, that's what this guy's doing, and then there's a laying hamstring curl. Now, I want you guys to take your picks right now on which one you think is objectively better, because there is one that's definitely better than the other. Okay, you guys have your answers in? Okay, it's gonna be the laying hamstring curl. That's the better movement. Now, why is it better? So the reason the laying hamstring curl is better is because it doesn't restrict the blood flow. Like here with the seated, feels like you're restricting the movement of your hamstrings. Like, yeah, I guess you can have a more strict curl, but you wanna be able to cheat a little bit when the reps get hard, That's the point. Now, the seated hamstring curl would be better if you're trying to approach a girl at the gym. Like if you approach a girl, she's on the laying hamstring curl, you're a creep, dog. No way she's talking to you. If she's on the seated hamstring curl, it's a green light, but a hard red light if it's on the laying hamstring curl. So that's the one thing the seated hamstring curl has over the laying hamstring curl. But for gym bodybuilding purposes, you want to grow the hammies, you're gonna go to the laying hamstring curl. Seated is gonna go in C tier, but laying would go into B tier or A tier. I'm gonna put the laying in B tier. All right, the hack squat. The hack squat is awesome. It's a little more pussy than the regular squat, but it does give you a better stimulus to fatigue ratio. Matt, what is a stimulus to fatigue ratio? A stimulus to fatigue ratio is very important when you're measuring the optimization of an exercise. So it's basically saying how much force and effort do you have to put into this exercise to see X amount of growth. Like if I put a bunch of effort into the squat, a squat is a very taxing movement, I might only hit the muscles so hard before I start breathing heavy and I'm about to pass out. But on the hack squat, you have more support on your back, so it's easier to put in more effort. It's easier to push your leg muscles further because you have that support on your back. So you can provide more intensity to the muscles without, exhausting yourself in the process. Now, I do consider a hack squat a variation of squat. Another spoiler alert, this is gonna go in S tier. I like to do drop sets with this, it's lethal. Only do this if you're really trying to cook your shit. Another squat variation I like is the Smith machine squat. What I like to do is I put a plate under my feet. If you see people do that, the reason they do that is to elevate their heels, so you require less ankle mobility to go all the way down. Because a lot of people don't have great ankle mobility, right? Squat's a great movement, but you do need good flexibility in 3 areas to perform a good squat. The hips, the knees, and the ankles. Most people have the hips, right? A good amount of people have the knees. Very little people have the ankle for it. So if you have shakier ankles, let's say your ankles got snatched, high school basketball, haven't recovered, definitely try putting a plate under your heels. It'll help you go a lot lower and you're gonna notice a significant difference. Anyway, that's another tangent, but this is gonna go into S tier. All right, the sus machine. I mean, it's called the sus machine, guys. I mean, if you're hitting squats right, there's no reason to do this. I'm gonna be so for real. I mean, you're gonna hit everything you need in a squat. So either you could be a pussy and not squat and do this machine instead and still hit all the muscles, you know, you would if you just squatted. But then everyone's gonna know you're a pussy because you're hitting this machine. So you could take the easy way out and be a pussy, but everyone's gonna know. Or you could just grow up and squat, right? This is embarrassing. There's no reason you have to do this. You know, this is for the old guys that wanna, you know, stare at some tails. They're 80 years old, they just, you know, half their workouts in the locker room, walking around with their towel off, and the other half is sitting on this machine staring at butt. So if that's you, you know, so either if you're a girl or an old dude, I should not see you on this machine. I will take you off this machine and throw you under the squat rack. This is gonna go into D tier. All right, this right here, I'm considering the same thing. This is the same thing, but there's no Bulgarians here. There's no Bulgarian option. So I'm gonna consider this a Bulgarian, guys. Ignore this image and pretend it's a Bulgarian split squat. Now I, as well as a lot of people, have a love-hate relationship with Bulgarians. You know, I hate them because, I mean, they're rough. If you've done them, you know this. And I love them because I love being done with them on my leg days. With that being said, you'll never be more sore in a good way the day after you hit a good 4 sets on Bulgarians. The one thing that sucks about them is that, you know, you get 12 reps in, it's rough, it's brutal. You squeeze out that last one, then you realize you gotta do the same shit with the other leg. It's not a good feeling, guys. It's not a good feeling. And a pro tip for your Bulgarians, guys, is the further up you have your front foot, the more quad bias you're gonna be, and the closer that front foot is to the bench or whatever surface your foot is elevated on, the more glute you're gonna hit. Another pro tip is to definitely keep your head down during split squats, right? If you stare at one spot in the floor, it'll help a lot with your balance. That's one thing that's also knocking it down a tier, is because of the stability issue. It'll also be helpful because no one will be able to see you cry from pain you get from these Bulgarians. They're gonna go into B tier. All right, calves. They're calves. You do them because you have to. I mean, I don't even know why I do them anymore. We all know it's genetic. But seriously, you gotta train your calves. You know, I like to do them at the end, spam them out. Now this machine I don't really like. Do you guys want to guess why? The reason why is because there's like that pad on your quad. If you're like most people, you do these calf raises at the end of your workout. Now, at that point in that workout, your quads are gonna be pumped. And that little pad on there is just gonna restrict the blood flow and make your quads super uncomfortable, which then, you know, kind of takes away from the movement. So if you can, I would always do a standing calf raise over a seated. So this exercise is gonna go in C tier, but a standing calf raise is average. You need to do them, but it's an average movement, so it's gonna go into B tier. But this one specifically, the seated, is gonna go into C tier. Wall sits, what are we doing, guys? I mean, if we're hazing some pledges, this is gonna go into S tier. Maybe A tier, because S tier is for bows and toes, but wall sits, I mean, really? It's good for knee health, like if you have like patellar tendonitis, if you're hip to that, you know, I was. This is good, this will help, but you're not gonna gain muscle from this, guys. I'm gonna be real. It just kind of hurts, you know? Like, yeah, you're gonna feel a burn, but the problem is there's no mechanical tension from a wall sit. Like, yeah, you could add some plates on top of your legs, but at that point, you're just doing too much, you know? You're gonna go to what's called a quad extension, which we're gonna get to right after this. This is gonna go into D tier. The quad extension. Jarvis, grab the crusty sock. This is gonna go into S tier. If there's an S plus, I'd put this here. I don't think there's been a leg day. I've been working out for 5.5 years, right? There's not been a leg day where I haven't done a quad extension. Because with squats, like, they're great, you know? They're great for your quads, but you're gonna stimulate your quads twice as much with a way better stimulus to fatigue ratio than you would on squats. A leg extension is a staple and a mandatory movement for any leg day. It's easy to drop set with. And also the quads, if you're a guy, you're hitting legs, you're hitting quads, right? You wanna grow your quads. Let's be real, you know? Yeah, you're an athlete maybe, you know? You wanna get faster, you wanna get shiftier. You're doing like Kegels or something. Hey, I don't judge you. But you're hitting legs today, right? to grow your quads and to have that teardrop and that quad separation, because that shit's hard to get, you know. This is the way you're gonna do it. Bunch of high volume leg extensions, you're gonna grow some crazy legs. All right, we're gonna do some other ones. So just pretend, I want to hold on to something, so I'm gonna hold on to this, but I'm gonna talk about something else. Pretend this is a lunge. I like lunges. You can do walking lunges. It was a big old school bodybuilding movement, like you see any montage from 2000s Olympia. Jay Cutler's doing lunges, right? Ronnie Coleman's doing lunges. Now, it's 2025, guys. You know, we have ChatGPT, we have TikTok, we have the Testacuzzi, you know. It's a, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it's like a jacuzzi for your testicles. I actually had one, but it broke. Anyway, it's 2025 now, and we're not doing lunges. We're doing Bulgarians, or we're doing split squats. Is it gonna be more comfortable and more stable than a Bulgarian? Yeah, but I think you're gonna see more growth out of a Bulgarian. I'm gonna put lunges in B tier as well. And I don't really like unilateral movements, especially on leg day, because I don't wanna have to do that swap. Like I said before, you know, go hard on one leg, and then it's time for the other one, and you're already exhausted. So lunges would go in B tier for me. Another thing I want to touch on too, I hope it was implied that not all these machines are created equal. I mean, if you've been to a couple of gyms in your life, you know the difference between a good hack squat and a bad hack squat, or a good quad extension and a bad quad extension. And it's a big difference. But with the hack squat, this is only S tier if it has a back support. That's a key detail I forgot to mention before. The reason hack squat is even worth doing over a regular squat is because you have more stability. And if you don't have that back support, you don't have stability. And it's actually more strenuous on your back than a regular squat, and you look stupid. So that'd be like C2. You know what else is weird? Where is the leg press? Did they not give us a leg press? That's kind of crazy. Okay, leg press, it can be good and it can be bad. You got to do it right. If you're one of those people that load up 9 plates and do quarter reps, you know who you are. Who do you think you're impressing, dog? Like half of the work you're doing is actually putting the plates on the machine. So leg press can be a really good tool. But if you're not hitting the depth you'd be hitting on a squat, you're wasting your time. You should get off that machine and leave it to the beginner lifter that just got in there and is afraid to squat. Not to impress your gym crush with your caveman noises and doing quarter reps. Because honestly, she could probably do that too. Don't think you're big dog because you could say, oh, I moved 900 pounds today. You're not big dog, you're a little dog. However, if you're doing leg press right, it's a great tool. Now, between the machine and the plate loaded, you can use both. Obviously, you're gonna be able to get more mechanical tension on a plate loaded, right? Because the machine's only gonna go so heavy. But each of them are a great tool. Leg press is gonna go into A tier. Let's also talk about the deadlift. Now, the deadlift is a lot of fun, guys. I'm not gonna lie. It's a great time, but is it good for building muscle? No. It's not. And listen, before you guys flame me, I used to have the state record deadlift for anyone under 18 years old and 90 kilograms in Virginia. It was 545 pounds, conventional, right, as God intended. And after I hit that lift, never deadlifted again. Like I said, super fun. Nothing gets the blood pumping like going for a deadlift PR. The adrenaline you get, there's no other feeling. I'm not gonna lie. If you're learning to love the gym, then a deadlift is a great tool because you know you're gonna want to come back and hit 5 pounds more than you did last week. But the deadlift itself isn't gonna see a lot of massive hypertrophic gain, so a deadlift is gonna go into C tier. However, an RDL is a different story. RDL puts your hamstrings and glutes in a great position to grow. If you're a girl watching this, which at this point there's definitely no girls watching this, but you should tell your girlfriend that if she wants to grow her butt, she's got to be doing hip thrusts and she's got to be doing RDLs. Why RDLs are better than regular deadlifts too is because you maintain a constant stress on the muscle. You know, a deadlift is a start and stop movement. You're gonna get way more hypertrophy out of an RDL. RDL is gonna go into A tier, deadlift's gonna go into C tier. Both, however, are very injury prone if you're doing this wrong. Get your form down, you're gonna slip a disc. All right, one more I wanna touch on is the power clean. Now this is an athlete movement. If you're a football player, you've been in the weight room, right? You've done a power clean. But it literally makes no sense to do this if you're trying to gain muscle. If you're an athlete training to go D1, there's no reason you shouldn't be doing this every lift. It'll increase your speed, your jumping distance, quick twitch fiber, right? All those buzzwords, they all come from the power clean. So if you're an athlete, you better be doing power cleans. Again though, very form intensive. If you just love the clean, even if you're not an athlete and you're doing this often, you better have the form right, because if not, you're asking for a hernia. I think I've seen more people get injured from a power clean than any other movement here combined. All right, I think I hit on all the main leg day movements, but this wasn't a great list, to be honest. They were missing a lot of stuff. But if you guys want to hear about any other ones that I forgot to mention or that weren't here on the board, leave them in the comments. I'll give a quick description, a quick rundown on what I think about those lifts. But thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you're gonna go hit legs today, go crazy, hit it hard, right? Try to stick with some of these, not a lot of these. Better not see you on the sus machine, guys. Anyway, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.